This is John Kohler with DiscountJuicers.com. Today I have a very special treat for you. What we're going to do today is that we're going to juice some fruits in the Omega Vert 330 HD juicer. Now, many people see all my videos on YouTube regarding juicing vegetables, and I do have some videos juicing fruits in the Omega Vert, but I wanted to revisit that subject because this question actually does come up to me a lot. Hey John, I'm juicing apples and I'm getting like an apple sauce and not an apple juice. What am I doing wrong, or can the Vert juice apples? Well, the Vert can absolutely juice apples, and there's a few things that you should do to properly juice apples in the Omega Vert. So the first step is, before you even want to juice, is proper produce selection. So with any fruit or vegetable, it's very important, especially with the fruits, to get nice, hard, firm fruits. So fruits that are nice and hard and firm and fresh. If the fruits are getting soft, mushy, old, maybe ripe or overripe, they're not going to tend to juice as well as hard, firm ones. So in the case of apples, some variety of apples are actually nice and hard and firm, and some are actually more softer varieties. Also, if the apples have been sitting on the shelf a while, they tend to get a bit softer. So, go around to all the varieties at the store and squeeze your apples. Don't squeeze them too hard because you'll bruise them. But squeeze them, and in general, if you could push your finger into it and depress it and put a dent in it, then it's probably not a good candidate to juice. You want to be able to try to push on it and it just not budge and be really firm. Those are the kind of apples that are going to work the best, and some varieties of apples will work better than others. So find the variety that works best for you and then just buy that variety of apple every time. I tend to kind of play more Russian roulette. I buy the apple that's the cheapest, as long as it's organic and the cheapest. I'll buy a bunch of that apple and we'll see how it works. And sometimes it works well and sometimes it doesn't, and that's alright too. Let's see here. So the next thing is, besides the apples, we're going to juice pears, and we're going to make my favorite recipe. This is actually called like a lemonade. So the standard recipe I got from Jay Kordich, the Juice Man, is a natural fruit-based lemonade, and it's just simply apples and one lemon. So what today we're going to do is we're going to make an apple pear lemonade. So we're going to juice apples and pears and that lemon. And today I'm going to be juicing, this is called a Meyer lemon, M-E-Y-E-R. This lemon is actually a sweet lemon. So it's not quite as sweet as an orange, but it's not as like sour as a lemon. So I like to juice the Meyers, and take a look and try to find the Meyer lemons whenever you can. They usually have a darker, deeper, richer yellow, and they actually taste sweet. And once again, with the lemons, limes, you could actually cut them up and juice the skin and all, much like you put lemon zest, but you don't want to juice orange skins, grapefruit skins, and tangerine skins. That being said, you can basically shave off the coloring of the orange and juice the white pith. Actually, that's where a lot of the bioflavonoids and nutrition are found. In any case, let's get back to today's juicing episode. The other thing we're going to juice are pears. So on purpose, I got two kinds of pears. These are just some standard organic pears. They actually have nice coloring, and these pears are actually quite ripe, and if I try to push my finger in it, guess what? They dent up because these pears are too soft. When pears get too soft, or when any produce gets too soft, they're better for eating because they're going to be sweet, but they're not going to juice well. But I wanted to show you guys how the pears do in here, and in general, if you're juicing soft stuff, it may just back up your juicer. So we're going to play with that and see what we could do with these overripe or ripe pears. The next thing we're going to juice are these guys. These are monster pears. Well, actually, these are homegrown pears from my brother's garden. And these were falling off his tree, and these are nice and hard. They got a couple bug bites and holes in them. So we're just going to cut that section out. And I want to recommend, juicing is really good to use some of that drop fruit, some of the imperfect fruit. And when you go to the store or go to the farmer's market to buy your fruits and vegetables to juice, ask them for the seconds, the grade Bs. Now, oftentimes the seconds or grade Bs, if they're fruits, may be overripe, so they're not good to juice, but they're better for blending. But you may get ones that are just damaged, that don't look pretty, and those ones are fine to juice, and they're going to actually cost you less money. So those are nice, hard, and firm. The pears, these pears are really ripe and soft. The apples are nice and firm, and the lemon, of course, it's a little bit soft, but we're going to feed in and rotate things as we put it in the machine. And that's another tip to remember when juicing anything in the Vert, whether they're fruits and vegetables. You want to rotate the consistency. So we're going to put in a piece of soft pear followed by a piece of this super hard pear, and the hard pear is going to help push through that soft pulp. So by doing proper produce rotation, it's going to work better. Another thing that's very important in the Omega Vert is don't back it up. You probably don't want to be using the pusher when feeding stuff into the machine. You want to simply drop something into the machine, let it process, and give it some time to work before adding in the next produce item. So before I start, I want to reiterate again, and I've said this in other videos, I don't recommend you juice your fruits. I recommend you eat your fruits whole or blend them. When you eat them whole or blend them, you get the fruits with the sugars and the fibers and all the other things in there. And the fibers help to regulate the absorption of the sugar into our bloodstream. Now, if you want to add, an apple or pear into your vegetable juice to make it taste really good, that's fine. And I do that sometimes. But I would encourage you to eat your fruits whole, especially fruits like berries. They don't tend to juice very well. They make very little yield, and they get very expensive. So if you blend them up, you're getting 100% utilization out of your berries, and they're so soft and easy to digest anyways. That's where the juicer comes in, you see. It's really good at breaking down the hard fiber that our bodies can't break down. Like, we can't really break down and get all the nutrition out of a carrot or leafy greens, but the juicer can. But we are able to get all the nutrition out of fruits very simply because they're nice and soft and they're really much more digestible, in my opinion. So that's my disclaimer. But now we're going to juice some fruits, because if you want to do it, I'm going to show you how to do it properly and do it the best in the Omega Vert 330 HD juicer. So I guess first what we're going to do is we're going to turn the machine on. And this machine runs at a low 80 RPMs or revolutions per minute. It's fairly quiet, so if you have kids or family or roommates sleeping in the house when you're juicing in the morning, it's probably not going to wake them up as much as a high-speed centrifugal ejection juicer. And I have videos on YouTube comparing this style to that style if you are so interested. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to take the pear and we're going to simply cut this pear up. And man, this pear is nice and soft. This pear, in my opinion, should not be juiced. But we're going to juice it today because I know somebody out there is going to do that and, to see how it works. The other thing, the Omega Vert tends to make a little bit pulpier juice. So if you don't like pulp in your juice, I recommend getting a standard strainer and strain your juice. So actually that worked fairly well. We got some juice out of it, and now we're going to cut up the hard pear from my brother's garden and cut off any bad sections here. Alright, now drop that in the machine. Now that's working a little bit better. It's really, the fiber's really starting to be ejected now. So what we're going to do is we're going to continually alternate the pear from my brother's garden, which is nice, hard and firm, not quite as ripe, with that softer pear, and then we'll get definitely better results. So here's some of the soft pear going in, once again followed by that soft pear that's going to just basically mush up. And you can see there, this pear juice is probably going to taste like, canned pears when you're a kid. It tastes so sweet. But also you can see our strainers catching a lot of the juice coming out. This is not necessarily a nice clean juice like you would buy in the store. The juices you buy in the store are highly processed and filtered, and they don't contain all the nutrition that they could have if you made it fresh. I know 100% of the enzymes are lost, and much of the nutrition can be lost through the heat processing of juice that you buy in the store. So when you're drinking fresh juices you make at home, the texture is going to be different to the store-bought because this stuff is fresh, and freshness is always bestest in my opinion. In any case, let's go ahead and feed some of that soft pear, followed by some of this hard pear. Now I am juicing the pear seeds, and I know apple seeds contain cyanide. Pear seeds may also contain some things that aren't so good for us in large quantities, but I don't have a problem personally with juicing a little bit of them. Of course, if you are concerned, you may want to remove your pear seeds and or apple seeds, but the juicer will totally handle it. So you can see here what's happening on there is that on our strainer, it's literally catching a lot of the juice because this is just not really that clean. Has a lot of fiber in it. It's the nectar. Remember, it's the nectar. So once again, we put that soft pear followed by the harder pear. We're going to go ahead and cut up. Why don't we cut up an apple now? And this apple could be a little bit firmer, but it should be fine to juice. So we'll dump in a piece of apple, and that has a more firm texture, so we're going to next time put in some of this softer pear and then follow it by that firmer apple. Okay, soft pear, firm apple. The one thing you want to pay attention to when juicing on the Omega Vert juicer is this outlet chute. You always want to ensure that pulp is coming out. If you're feeding several pieces in and nothing's coming out, you may have a backup situation. At that point, it's best to stop, clean out your juicer, and then start fresh, rotating softer things and harder things for best results. If you continue to juice with it while it's backed up, it's just really not going to work quite as well. So let's go ahead and once again soft pear, and we're going to follow that by a piece of this hard pear. Alright, once again we got the soft pear and a hard piece of apple. And check it out, I mean, our strainer is catching a lot of the nice, thick, rich nectar. Now, you know, if you don't want the nectar, once again, you can strain it out, and I'm just tapping down the strainer to get some of that nectar through. But even so, this is going to be nice, thick, and rich, unlike the stuff you buy at the store. You got to get that out of your head. This is the real stuff, man. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and juice some more soft pear, followed by some hard apple. Next, let's go ahead and get into this lemon. Once again, you can see I'm rotating the produce items as I put them in. A little bit of pear, a little bit of apple, and put them in all mixed up. Next, we're going to cut up this lemon. Oh man, that's a nice lemon flavor. We're going to drop that in. And we're going to follow that by some hard apple. Once again, I'm watching and keeping one eye on this outlet port. As long as pulp is still going, I'm good to go. So that juiced up, we already got 2 cups of juice. I mean, we juiced literally, like, what, 4 pieces of fruit so far. Soft pear, followed by a hard and firm piece of apple. Once again, on our strainer, we're going to go ahead and tap this down a little bit. Continuing to juice, drop in a soft pear, and I guess we're just going to follow that by a firm apple. So if you had like an apple orchard or a pear orchard and you wanted to juice like a lot of apple juice, I wouldn't recommend the Omega Vert. What I would recommend is a cider press. These things have been used for hundreds of years. The cider presses really and most effectively make fruit juices if you want to make fruit juices. They'll make a really clean and nice and filtered juice. This I would consider a nectar or more of a full-bodied juice. So you can see we're still working. Actually, I think we're going to stop here pretty soon. We'll put just a few more apples, and I like to finish my juicing episodes with nice, hard, firm produce, not the soft stuff. So try to work the soft stuff in, use the hard stuff at the end to help push things through the machine to get all that delicious juice out of the machine. So you can see here, we're still moving and pulp is still coming out of the machine, and our strainer is catching actually a lot of the pulp there. Alright, so it looks like we're done. We're going to go ahead and turn this machine off, and why don't we go ahead and move this stuff to the side here and check out what we got. Alright, so you can see our strainer, it's literally full of like a little bit of extra pulp. So what I'm going to do is just carefully, you know, tap this down, and as I tap it down, some more juice is coming out, and it's keeping all that fiber in the strainer. Now the strainer is only going to filter out the largest amounts of fiber, but this juice is still going to be, you know, not quite as liquid as, once again, your store-bought, pasteurized, and heat-processed juices. Actually, the stuff in here does look like an applesauce. But yeah, very simply, just using a strainer will catch all the fibrous stuff, so you'll have more of a juice-like consistency. The other thing I want you to remember is that you can also water this down if you want it a little bit more liquidy. So next, I'm going to try this. That's so amazing, so delicious. It's got the apple, the pear, and that Meyer lemon for the sweetness. This is truly nature's lemonade. No added sugars, no added water, no added flavors. Real 100% fruit juice. In my opinion, fruit and vegetable juice is one of the healthiest things you could drink to help get our nation off of the canned soda addiction. Hopefully you've enjoyed this episode learning more about how to juice apples and pears and making your own natural lemonades at home with the Omega Vert 330 HD Juicer in the best way possible. Once again, my name is John Kohler with DiscountJuicers.com. Be sure to visit DiscountJuicers.com/YouTube for special promotional offers for our YouTube visitors.